Come on, folks. Don't be a sleazeball. Actually do things that matter in this world. Do things that build trust with other people. Actually care about other people. Don't try to get the quick win. So if you don't know me, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There are so many people to help me out that I want to pay the favor forward to help you out. So I'm an 80s kid, and I was raised in the 80s, and there was this thing that happened in the 70s and 80s, and I think maybe even the 90s a little bit. I'm not sure if you knew about this, but there was vacuum cleaner salespeople that would go door to door. And I remember one time we lived out in the country, and we had one of these vacuum sales persons that came out to our house, and they were trying to sell us a vacuum. And this vacuum was very expensive. These vacuums, I think at the time, were a couple $1,000s, which is extraordinarily expensive for being a vacuum, especially at that time in the 1980s. And they were trying to sell us something, and my mom, being the ingenious person that she is, she actually got them to. It took a long time. They pitched a sale, but they actually vacuumed her entire living room, which was kind of fun. But at the same time, they were trying to sell something. Luckily, my parents, they're very wise with their money and trusting people, and they never bought anything from this particular salesperson, which thankfully that was a great decision. But I want you to start thinking about how you actually treat people, and when you're trying to sell something, when you're actually trying to do something that's important in your life. And selling, I'm not just talking about like you're a salesperson. I'm talking about, selling your ideas. That's a really incredibly important thing in academia. That's an incredibly important thing in the world around us if we're trying to sell our ideas to other people and getting them to trust your particular ideas. And the key thing is the only thing that we have in this world as human beings is to the ability to actually get people to trust you. And there's lots of ways to get people to trust you in many different ways, but the easiest way to build trust is actually do something for a long time and do the right thing for a long time and show people that you're actually trustworthy, that you are actually a genuine human being, that you care for other people, and that you're a really just nice person. And you can't just do that in a one-time meeting, in a sales call as a vacuum salesperson. You can't just do it over a week, but you have to show it time and time and time again, where you're the person that's actually going to get up and get out there and help somebody out or make the right decision. Sometimes it's not helping other people out, because sometimes that makes a really challenging thing for somebody else out if they're trying to actually get something done that's going to harm them. And so you have to think about what is the right decision. That's often very difficult to make those right decisions, whatever that is. But you have to stick with that thing and continue to do that and repeatedly do that time and time again, over and over and over again, over the course of a decade. And then after a decade, people start believing you a little bit. They start trusting you. They start thinking that you're not a sleazeball. But then that's just the start of it. That's just a little bit. And once they start figuring out how to that you're actually not a sleazeball, then it takes another decade and another decade before people actually start believing that you're making the right decisions and it actually makes sense with the things that you're actually doing. So I implore you at this moment, don't be sleazeballs. Don't get out there, try to sell people things, try to do things that are manipulative, that clearly other people can see through, and that make people feel bad eventually. Really care about them, really take the time to get to know them, really actually invest in making great decisions. What do I mean by that? Pick up a freaking book. Read about things and how to actually make decisions. If you don't know anything about financial decisions, pick up a book. There are hundreds of, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of books out there in terms of personal finance, in terms of how to actually do things. And they're really easy. You just have to read, often if you find a good book, you just have to read one of those. And that's it. That's really all you have to do, and you get the gist of all those books, all that knowledge. We really don't know that a lot, but us academics, us sort of thoughtful people actually like to write. So we write lots of stuff, but all the ideas are the same thing. So the only thing I can implore you to do at this moment is really, really try not to be that sleazy person that is trying to manipulate other people, trying to convince other people that you're something that you're not. Take the time, or it's going to take you a decade to get there, where you start losing some of these things, some of these hairs. Once you start losing a few of those hairs after those decades, then people are going to trust you to make the right decision and do the right thing. So please don't be a sleazeball.